What's up, Modern Lending podcasters? We are back, episode 8. Man, we're going to unpack some crazy stuff today. If you've been paying attention to any of the episodes, or if this is your first one, you understand that the consumer is changing how we have to do business in real estate and mortgage. The way they're interacting, the way they have access to new data and social media and MLS on their phone, man, everything's changing. So what's loanDepot doing around that? Well, let me introduce you to Randy Hamilton, the COO of mellohome Services, a sister company and a real estate company to loanDepot. Let me show you in the next 45 minutes how the consumer is transforming the space and how we're transforming it right along with them to help them find local professional realtors in their marketplace. Buckle up, episode 8, here we go. Oh, like, subscribe, share, spread the message. Love you guys. All right, everybody, here we are with Randy Hamilton.
Good morning.
This is going to be a really fun conversation. So for those of you that don't know Randy, I'm going to let him introduce himself in a second. I'll start with kind of some baseline stuff. Randy is the COO of our mellohome Services platform, sister company to loanDepot, real estate organization. And man, if you've been following any of the episodes, you know we've been talking about it. One major theme has danced through it all, which is the change in consumer behavior that has resulted in the mortgage industry, the real estate industry, and all having to pivot and adapt to new technologies. You know, the biggest being the MLS became public. You know, I talked about this with Dan many episodes ago. That was like the first step in this total change and transformation of the industry when the MLS data became public.
Yep.
And then consumers could access everything on their phones, and all of a sudden now tons of stuff has dominoed and changed, et cetera. So we're going to kind of go through what we've been doing and what mellohome's been doing as a response to that, how we're serving customers today that's unique and different. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I think it's going to be super fun.
Yeah.
So, Randy, for a couple seconds, couple minutes, give everybody a download on your background, because some people don't know who you are, and let's just let everyone kind of get to know you a little bit.
Sure. Great, and I appreciate you having me.
Of course,
today.
man.
Yeah. So I'm a mortgage guy at heart from the mid '80s, back when you took everything on paper and and sat down at the dining room table.
Yep, still had fax machines and pagers and all the
you
life.
got it. Yeah,
so good.
So it was in the '80s doing that. Stayed in the mortgage business until roughly 2005, and got out and decided that I wanted to sit on the other side of things, because unfortunately I felt that with a business partner that the world was going to start coming to an end. And believe it or not, it did.
Yeah, no kidding.
I was called Igor by my wife.
If you got out in 2005, you smelled what was coming down the hill.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
I was at WMC. GE Money had just purchased it. Everyone thought that the glass was clear. And we started saying this 80-20 stuff, and Domino's making $40,000 a month stated this is not looking good.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, so, fast forward ahead, we spent roughly 10 years with business partner Pat Flanagan, who's our CFO.
Our CFO,
current CFO at loanDepot, buying distressed debt.
Oh, interesting.
For large private equity fund, and then we did it on our own up until 2015. We dabbled with a real estate platform in that end.
Okay.
Built an actual call it alternative mortgage product.
That's super cool.
That put people in a house that had come out of, say, the bankruptcy or the crisis. They weren't qualified yet.
Yeah.
We would actually buy the house, but instead of it being a lease to own, they actually were in contract to buy the house from us, but we gave them up to 6 years to cure their issue.
So clever.
So
that's
we did that
super
until 2015, and got back in the mortgage in 2016, and I've been here at loanDepot in what was quietly known as Next Gen Lending, and
now
took
COO
over
of mellohome.
Right, took over mellohome about fourth quarter last year.
Let's talk about what mellohome is.
Right.
So some people don't know.
Yep.
What is mellohome?
So mellohome is a real estate service provider for loanDepot that connects home buyers and home sellers of loanDepot with call it expert agents in their area. So consumer has a need. About 70% of the consumers, believe it or not, come to us and they do not have a realtor relationship.
Yeah,
or they're interested in interviewing realtors.
Yeah,
and they use us as a platform.
This is such a fascinating change. So for those of you that aren't familiar with kind of loanDepot's platform, I'll give a little pause and pull everybody up here and kind of explain what we've been doing from the direct side, because people, we have a retail channel, we have a direct to consumer channel. Both are serving customers the way they want to be served. It's a very important distinction. Yep. And so, from a high level, kind of a contextual understanding here, loanDepot aggregates leads. They make around 1 million outbound phone calls a day from a contact center. And that contact center's job is just to reach out and touch people who have pushed a button online.
Correct.
And so they have questions, they want to know information, they push a button. The contact center, these are unlicensed loan employees. They call the people, they say, you pushed a button. Do you want to talk to a loan officer? What's going on? Right. And they kind of qualify them, and then as they find out what they want, they direct transfer those people to the appropriate areas, retail, direct, all over the country. Right. And what I think it's fascinating how mellohome came into existence. Anthony has such an eye on kind of what's happening, and for him to understand that, hey, 60 to 70% of these customers that we're contacting that have pushed buttons online are in this pre-realtor state. They're still kind of poking around. They haven't decided who to work with. They probably know agents and are connected to human, agents, but they haven't decided who to use. They get pre-qualified and pre-approved by loanDepot loan officers. Yep. And then there's this unique opportunity to say, hey, do you have an agent? Right. And there comes mellohome. Right.
And even if you do have an agent, are you interested in at least maybe exploring other opportunities with someone else, get their view? We partner you up with somebody that's an expert that we monitor along the way.
Yeah.
That's,
I find this hysterical that mellohome's a real estate company with no realtors.
Yeah.
Well, because we network with them, right? So kind of go over the structure of that. Like, so we how do agents get into the network? How do they become connected to mellohome and be able to raise their hand and get business from loanDepot loan officers? How does it kind of work functionally?
Sure. If you think of it, there's two paths. There's the organic. So mellohome was out in the marketplace. I'll call it recruiting. Yeah. And realtors are no different than consumers. They're looking for ways to, how do they electronically get referrals?
For sure.
Right. So if you think of that, that was one avenue. The other avenue is loanDepot loan officers have realtor relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they
so it's about a 50-50.
Yep.
It's about a 50-50 to date with, we have over 4,000 approved agents on the network today.
That's what I was going to ask. 4,000 agents.
Right. And that's across all 50 states.
Yep.
And it's probably a 50-50 split. So if organically they've heard about us, they might have heard about us from an industry leader.
Yeah.
They might have heard about us just from looking at, how do I get referrals?
So 4,000 agents in the network.
Yep.
How old is mellohome?
It'll be 2 years April.
That's super cool. Super cool. So 2 years anniversary. Congratulations. That's a big milestone to crest that.
Yep.
And let's hit some high number stats, and then we'll dive into the complexity of it.
Sure.
How many referrals have been sent to agents across the country?
So in dollar amount, it's a little over $3 billion.
That's significant.
15,000 referrals that are out in the marketplace during that time.
That's awesome.
Right. We probably today have over 1,000 that are shopping.
So active in the market with agents.
Pushing right around $1 billion just in that. And as far as home buying, 90%, just so we're clear, are home buying, but we do have home selling. And a lot of times someone comes to us, they pushed a
Great
button.
Point. Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's, hey,
they still want to sell.
Yeah, I want to sell my house. Yeah. And that ends up, being, in a lot of cases, 2 transactions, obviously. So realtor loves it. Loan officer is able to stay involved along the way.
All good.
So the 4,000, we've got... There's probably been around 400 million that have been purchased.
You mean
already closed transactions today?
Awesome.
Yep. So
okay, so that
continues to build.
There's momentum behind this. Obviously none of that closed in April in 2018. That was like the first referral ever sent out. So but it's amazing to see the momentum build up. And how does an agent get involved? How do they get into the network?
So they go through a simple application process today online, obviously, and then what we have an onboarding team that vets them, makes sure that everything's above board on their end.
For sure.
Right. So it's just a simple approval process.
They're a real realtor.
Yes, a real realtor, real stats. They have good ratings.
Yeah.
We do the same thing that they do, right? We look on the different review boards,
of course,
and we actually can see their stats.
Oh my gosh, we it's so funny the power of brand and Google and all that stuff. It's like, we do the same thing everyone does. We Google them, right? We look them up online, try to see what they're like,
right? In a lot of cases, it's somebody that's a part of a big team. So it's one agent, but then what it does is it opens up the door for our loan officers to build further relationships with, one agent, but they're actually connected to a team of 60.
Well, let's walk through kind of the tactics of it.
Okay.
So if I understand it, as I understand it, contact center makes a call, engages with the customer, push the button.
Right.
They want to buy in Georgia.
Right.
So the contact center person pushes that transaction out to one of our loan officers in Georgia.
Yep.
They get a chance to talk to the customer, find out what their needs are, hopes and dreams are. In your opinion or your experience, where is that customer in the buying process? Like how long are they buying today? Or are they 6 months out? What are you seeing?
I would say it's a little bit of everything. I mean, we have a certain percentage that are already in contract, so obviously they're not interested in.
Yeah, they're ready to rock, and
right.
they just want to.
I'm in contract and
get a good deal.
Right. Or they have a deal and they're bringing,
and they're shopping their deal.
Yeah, that's right. That's the online customer today, right? So they've a lot of choices.
Yep.
So, but I would say the majority of the folks are in this kind of 3 to 4 month window.
Cool.
That's probably your biggest. So if you were to stat it out, there's very little that actually closes same month, right? So the loan officer is going to take a pre-qual. They're going to find out what the needs are. They're going to potentially, if that customer wants to be introduced to an expert in their local area, that's where the mellohome comes in.
Yep.
But to get back to the broader piece of this, today, we're still funding loans from 2018. Our closing transactions, I would say, from referrals. It's not the majority. The majority is in that kind of 4 month window.
But there's still long incubation.
That's right. Long incubation. There's a big tail on purchase, as loan officers know.
So the loan officer pre-approves the customer.
Right.
Looks across the street. They don't have an agent. They go, fantastic. I mean,
Right.
it's a loan officer's dream. Like it always has been, right? Because even when I was originating and I would walk into a real estate office or a open house for the first time to meet an agent I've never met before, they would always throw in the, bring me a buyer.
Right.
And, and I was like, if I brought you a buyer, then then just pay me. Like that's your job.
Right.
But and now loan officers across the country are doing that. They're doing that exact same thing. They're saying, yeah, I'll absolutely bring you this buyer.
That's right.
And they're sending it to the agents they want to work with in the mellohome network.
Right.
And it's crazy. I'll give a quick kind of anecdote. There's a loan officer here in Orange County that I watch all the time on the numbers on the screens, and they're sending on average, 2 to 3 transactions a month to their preferred agents in the Mello network.
Yeah. And
I'm so shocked by it because that would have so transformed my personal origination business. And it shows how the changing world is pivoting.
Yeah, and the key with it, and we can hit on this a little bit later too, is that concierge service. So when they push that button,
I do want to get into more tactics on that.
Yeah, it's not just going to the realtor. You've got now a partner. mellohome Service provides this concierge service, so we can speak a little on that.
Yeah, so tactically, kind of just to put a bow on it, so everyone understands. Loan officer pre-approves the customer, discovers they don't have an agent, says, hey, I have some of the best agents in the world, in Georgia.
Right.
I've been here for 20 years. I know who they are. Would you like to be introduced to them?
Right.
The customer says, absolutely. I'm interviewing agents.
Right.
And they push a button in our Mello system, right?
They do.
They just go boop, and
they're connected with the concierge.
Yeah. So here's the concierge.
Yep.
So explain how this position got created, what it's used for, how it's positioned in the ecosystem.
So the concierge is the quarterback that is there as much as the consumer. The realtor and the loan officer may want to use them to help coordinate things. So their first job is to do what you just said. They're partnering them up with the agent.
Yeah. So I say, if I'm the loan officer and I say, look, I need this deal to go to Susie.
Right.
She's one of the best agents in Georgia. I love her.
Right.
And the concierge, after I push the button, the concierge goes, got it. Send it to Susie.
Yep. And Susie is text on her mobile app, her mellohome mobile app. She gets a notification.
So she has an app.
Yep.
So let's break that down. So the agents that get in the network and they're part of the community, they get a mellohome app.
They do.
And so when on the app, what happens when they get a deal sent over?
They get a text message that says, Mrs. Jones is ready to be introduced to you.
That's got to be a really good feeling.
Yeah.
People got to be like, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So the contact info comes over. What else comes over?
Contact information comes over, and then what the realtor is able to do is get connected with that home buyer.
Yeah.
And then from that point going forward, they're using the application to talk about the status. Like, we've met, now we're going to go out and start touring.
Oh, cool. So they're updating kind of the app
right.
with what where the customer is in the process, alerting the concierge, the loan officer,
and the loan officer, and
what's going on with the customer.
That's right. So it's the hybrid in between. While the loan officer is working on getting them approved and collecting their docs, they're out in the marketplace with their realtor, shopping and communicating along the way with call it this mobile app text, so we can stay off the phone.
But you know what I really love about this is it's giving the customer this cool digital experience, right? Because they're getting connected all over the place without having to do anything, and that's what technology seamlessly does in the background. But we also like the concierge. They're almost like a neutral, like helpful third party position, right? And they're staying in touch with the customer. And what I love about that is if the loan officer is dropping the ball for whatever reason, life gets in the way, or the real estate professional is busy, can't return calls as promptly, or whatever's happening there, that concierge is like a backdrop for that customer.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm assuming they get feedback all the time.
Well, right. And one of the things that they'll actually do, and let's just face it, it's a competitive world. So the agent will say to the concierge, this guy's talking to 3 other lenders.
Yeah.
So we get the signal and make sure that our loan officer
understands that they got to compete.
Right.
Yeah, they got to earn
right
this
at the front
still.
door with them. Right. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. So along the way, that concierge right from the beginning is building that relationship and letting the consumer know, like, I'm here for you, but I'm not going to interrupt. If you don't want to talk, that's great. But if you need something, and if you need somebody to get connected to, I'm a text away, I'm a phone call away, however you want to communicate with me.
Yep.
And we go from there.
And then they're out. They go shopping. They go get into escrow, and the whole thing happens.
That's what the goal is. And keys, right? At the end of the day, get funded and get the keys.
It's a wild paradigm shift. What have you noticed is happening during this process? What are customers experiencing? What key learnings are you experiencing kind of managing this platform?
I would say that the biggest part is the communication between agent, loan officer, and all the information that they're getting. If you think about how these leads are originated, it's a very competitive environment today. So consumer has choices. They're having other voices along the way.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do is really meld the high human touch with high technology, right? Because you have this paradigm shift where people are ducking answering the phone. They want to be text.
Dude, that's so fascinating.
Right?
Let's just unpack that for a minute, because you're so right. And this transition from a customer who is a full digital customer, that they're on their phone, they're no human connection, just kind of stay at arm's length.
Right.
I just want to kind of shop for homes. I want to get it. I want to get quotes. And then when it has to go into the meat, like they have to talk to people.
Right.
They got to talk to a more professional. They got to talk to a real estate agent, and they prefer to text. I joke, or I ask questions with a lot of our guys in the field, and I go, how many of your transactions start with an upfront communication, consultation, and then transition into just text updates?
Right.
And it's like it's the majority.
Yeah.
Like they want the human connection. They want to know everything's good. They want the comfort.
Yep.
But then they're like, okay, cool. Just update me.
Right.
I got to go do my thing.
Right.
That's wild.
And it's all day, every day, right? So
Yeah.
if you think of the spectrum of customers, if they want to be left alone, we're there. If they want high touch, we're there.
Yeah.
If they want that blend,
And who doesn't
in
want a
between-
concierge? Like, let's be honest. Like, I would love one in the home buying process. Like,
Right.
just somebody to call and be like, I need help. I need information.
Right.
And they can direct and assist.
Yeah, and sometimes they're there as that, I don't want to ask a dumb question to my loan officer or my realtor, so can I ask you first? And then,
Dude, that's
right?
gold. You're
If you
right.
think about
You're
it,
right.
It's
I mean, what else is the concierge doing in your experience? What stories do you have about them and how they're assisting customers? Do you have any fun stories?
I'm trying to think. You're putting me on the spot on that one.
I know. I just feel like they're in the middle of getting so much like the dirt.
Yeah.
Like they're the one that's going to get like the actual like I'm really upset with my loan officer.
Yeah, they're trickling that information through, but that's what they're there as. Again, I call them the quarterback for the transaction.
Yeah.
That's what they're there. It's a service, but at the same time, it's a support.
Yeah, I got to go sit there and listen to them someday and just hear all the good stuff that happens, because I'm sure they're getting all the goods.
And a lot of it is text, right? The consumer's texting them back. They have a CRM system. It pops up. They're able to communicate back with the consumer. If the consumer says, "Call me right now," in capital letters, it's no problem.
And they're texting out of the Mello CRM system.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's all there right at their fingertips, and again, it's really about human touch using high tech, right?
I shared this analogy, and I think it's so right. I ask people in our new hire orientation, what did Amazon do when they came to market? And everybody immediately goes, they sold books. They sold books. They sold books. And I go, what in my opinion, what they did was create a software system that connected a bookseller and a book buyer.
Yeah.
And now you look forward and they connect everything, even down to the driver. There's Amazon trucks that like are all over the place right around this building that we're in.
Yeah.
Every time I come into the office, I see like 17 Amazon trucks just burning out to drop off something off instantly, and it's all being seamlessly connected with technology. And then I watch what you've done and what mellohome's done to connect a customer to more people in the transaction seamlessly through technology.
Right.
And I'm like, man, it's the same thing happening.
Yeah, it's a real estate marketplace.
It's connecting humans to resources, to local professionals, to help them get what they want.
Right. Making it more efficient. Everyone's time is busy, right? So it allows you to not have to be on the phone, but you can get updated.
Yeah.
Right. So
now let's kind of pivot for a second. I want to talk about the learnings we're having for our loan officers. And then I think this might even translate to other loan officers that participate in kind of digital customer acquisition strategies, whether they're company provided or they're buying them on their own or whatever they're doing. So functionally, in our Mellow Leads program, we send out live transfers to loanDepot LOs.
Yep.
And it's been an interesting 2 years experience because I'm on the sales side, you're on the mellohome side. I mean, from your perspective, like how's it going? Like with these leads, where are we winning? Where are we not winning? What are we missing and not understanding? And kind of maybe if you know it off the top of your head, what are some of the results that we've seen over historically with loan officers answering their phone,
sure,
and all that stuff?
Well, the first key to it, and as you know, is about adoption. Is the lead's only going to get to you if you're able to answer the phone. So
I know.
So you got to be logged in, right, to participate.
Yes.
So that would be the first hurdle that is improving over time. Let's just say.
Oh my God! 2 years ago, I'm like, there's a customer there. Right. Just answer the phone.
Right.
I was so mad.
Well, and just so the audience knows, the nice thing is there's someone to catch it, but it kind of rolls from our retail division, and then it's going to go into the direct call center.
For sure. Because we got the customer still needs to get served.
Right.
Yeah. Which makes me so happy when my people don't answer the phone. I just makes me furious.
Exactly. So what's the other learning? What's the next learning is you are dealing in this space with somebody who has a lot of options. So in your typical
and to your point, they're 4 to 5 months, 6 months out.
Right.
So they're gonna massage this thing,
and they're being berated at the same time. These leads are not exclusive for the majority of them. It's a competitive, hyper-competitive marketplace. So I think that the next piece is building that trust early on in the conversation. That is all about, I want to be your trusted advisor throughout this long process. Now, there's a segment that are in contract and I just want my rate now. Tell me, can you beat it, Randy, or not?
Yeah.
I don't need any of this other stuff.
For sure.
But the majority of the customers are what you said. They're going to be there for the next 2, 3, 4 months needing a trusted advisor.
Yeah.
So it's really about building the trust to where you can get somebody pre-approved, because they're going to need that in order to get out in the market with the realtor, right? So.
You know what I noticed too, and this is maybe you can validate it or say it's more anecdotal, but my experience has been with these kind of customers, they do get attacked.
Yes.
So they get called multiple times from multiple,
throughout the day.
Yep. And so they go, this feels icky. Yep. They kind of back off. Some back off and say, I don't need to deal with this. And then what I've noticed has been amazingly effective for local retail pros is just the subtle, nice, hands-off follow-up that says, even via text,
right,
or even via text video, which I know has the best impact, and just have like a real human show up on their phone and say, I'm sure you're getting a lot of attention.
Yep.
I've been in Georgia for 20 years, and I'd love to help you if you're not getting what you need, or if you need more information, or if I can just buy you a coffee and help you navigate this craziness.
Yeah.
And oh my God, the customer goes, thank you. Like, I'm so overwhelmed a little bit, and that sounds really nice.
Right. And everyone's just asking me for my social security number, right?
Yeah, everyone just wants to run my credit.
Right.
And this is exactly what you said earlier, that transition from the digital customer to the human touch should be a very elegant, natural process. And that's where I feel like local pros just shine.
Yeah.
Because if they come at it with that kind of grace and empathy that, hey, this person's getting bombarded, and if I call them, I'm one of 17 calls that they got today. But if I get strategic and I figure out how to approach them from another angle, or maybe I look them up on social media because I got their contact information and I find out we have mutual friends.
Right.
I mean, that one actually is so underrated.
Yeah, that's
because
great.
if you're in the local community and you get this customer's information because they push buttons online, and your ability to go, do I know someone who knows them? We live in the same city.
Right.
Maybe I do. And then you could come at it from a whole new angle and say, hey, we got a mutual friend and Johnny over here.
Right. I want to be your trusted advisor, right? I want to help you.
If anything, let me just guide you through the process, give you advice.
Right.
No strings attached.
Exactly.
What other learnings is going on in that process?
Well, I think the next step is the realtor itself, right? That's a whole nother experience.
Yeah.
So I think that the professional, loan originator today that is able to differentiate themselves by saying, look, I'm not just looking to get your social security number. If you want to give it and we're going to get this going right away, then great. If I've already earned your trust, but I want to help you along the way. And by the way, I can also do this for you. I can provide extra services, right? I can partner you up with someone in your local market that is also in your neighborhood every day, might live in your neighborhood for that matter.
Yeah.
And really just build that relationship again. That is no obligation.
Cool. Yep.
So again, everyone else is pinging them from so many other angles, right? Like we need this, we need that. And we're here trying to take that. I want to help you and I want to be your customer. I want you to be my customer, for life. So,
the other skill set that I know has just been hard for us is lead management. Because it's very clear a lot of these customers have a longer tail.
Right.
They're not, and I'll paint this in the picture of my past experience. Realtors would send me customers that are ready to go.
Yep.
And that was the game. Like I would help them. I'd go to open houses and do flyers, and I would sit there and talk to customers and help them incubate customers, all that stuff for sure. But really, the game was the realtor was kind of the prospecting side of the coin.
Right.
I would fillet the fish. They'd catch the fish, they'd give it to me, and I would help them get the loan.
Right.
And so I was used to talking to customers that are ready to transact. Well, this customer is not ready to transact necessarily.
Majority or not.
Majority or not.
It's a new discipline.
Now, 4 to 6 months of lead management, man, not a lot of retail loan officers, local pros are good at that.
No.
That's not a skill set they've ever developed.
And the one thing that everybody should know is, we'll say it again, that's where the concierge, if you're a loan
helps.
originator at
Yes.
loanDepot and you're using that service, that
helps.
concierge on that long tail, they have a CRM system. They're working with that realtor. They're touching.
So even if you're failing as a loan officer, they got your back.
That's right. That's
my
the key.
gosh.
And one thing that we do notice is the conversion at 3 months is 20 to 30% higher when they use the service. At 6 months, it gaps out to over 50%.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
on a closing percentage.
That totally makes sense, though.
Because again, loan officers, your team is busy, right? They are busy. I know they do have to have that discipline, but it's not 100% perfect art yet. Everybody is transitioning. Like, geez, I spoke to Mrs. Jones in March.
Yep.
She's ready in August, and I forgot that she's ready in August. But great, I'm using the platform. The concierge is talking with Mrs. Jones and the realtor.
And you can't undersell that.
No,
that's incredible partnership. And you're right. Sometimes it's nice to have a little teamwork.
Right.
It's not.
That's right.
But I will continue to drive on the LO, like get better at lead management.
Yes.
Like you learn the skill, learn it, because you're not good at it. And someone's mad at me now because like I am good at it. Yeah, okay, you're the exception. But the most are like, what's a CRM? I don't log in. And I don't know what's going on. And it's a huge disadvantage because the way I see it, as this evolution continues, lead aggregation and lead management are going to become such a differentiator of who is successful and who is not.
Yes.
Because the ability to incubate leads with your real estate partners, with mellohome, with the leads coming through Mellow Leads, like the ability to take all that in. I always make the joke of, hey, if you walked into a real estate agent's office and finally landed a meeting, and the first thing they said to you was, I'm so glad you're here. I get around 400 to 500 leads a month from my efforts.
Mm-hmm.
How can you help me convert that business? And I just imagine some loan officer, deer in the headlights, being like, just send them to me when they're in escrow. It's like, no, dude, no. New strategic skill set. Because the way I'm seeing mellohome kind of land in the marketplace is, and I'll say this tongue in cheek, and I don't mean it so aggressively, but when I was originating, and a lot of traditional local pros would still fall into this category, I was almost a vendor. Now I had to have some skills. I had to have able to package loans, walk customers through a complex transaction. I had to have some skills. I wasn't just a vending machine. You put the quarter in, you get a loan.
Right.
But at the same time, I was backing up the agent. I wasn't organically creating my own business. It was coming in from my referral partners. I didn't bring anything to the table unless I went back to my old database and did good customer relationship management, and then got a new customer and could send it back to my realtor. But the velocity was never, dual.
It wasn't. Yeah.
It was coming from them, and I was maybe kicking one back over when I could. But I was focusing on loans.
Yeah, it wasn't 50% of your business.
I think today, the reality of the evolution from a mortgage partner being a vendor, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but changing that and watching them become strategic partners, it's such a different conversation. It's walking into a real estate professional shop and going, look, I have the chance to send, X number of deals your way a year, and you're one of the best agents in the market, and I want to be a strategic partner with you.
Right.
I don't want to be a vendor in your office. I don't want to, bring cookies every day. I'm fine bringing cookies. I always crap on that. Like, I brought cookies, delicious hippo cookies to open houses. They were amazing. Yeah. But like that conversation shifting is just fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because
I'm going to let you into something that we're actually doing that's going to get released. That it could be the secret sauce.
See, this is great because all 4 of my listeners right now are going to be just totally Mike laughing.
So if you think about that, the agents are in the same boat that as loan originators we're all in, right? We're migrating and changing. So you just gave a perfect story. It was maybe 1/10 of your business where you might have served somebody back up because you touched base with them and they said, I'm interested in selling my house, right?
Totally.
And you're like, holy cow, okay, I'm going to get you partnered up.
I had the golden ticket.
I'm going to go, and then we're going to go help you buy your new one, right? So as the agents are moving more and more on to social media platforms themselves because they need to get out in front of this audience.
100%.
One of the things that we're looking to do is a social media like reciprocation program. So you just mentioned walking in, I want to be your partner. Imagine at the same time, loanDepot, mellohome is allowing them to connect with us in social media, and they like us, we like them, and we start working together to build that brand. So their individual brand, our brand, and then at a loan officer level, you're generating your individual brand at the same time. So we're going to be partnering up with you on that later in this year. I can't
That's
wait.
going to be incredible. Yeah.
So those 4 listeners just got some insight.
Exactly. So, man, it's fascinating. The battle for the consumer's attention. I mean, and this is a total pivot a little bit. This is kind of outside of mellohome, outside of this, but just the conversation I think is so cool. The battle for the customer's attention, to get in front of them, man, we are all so over marketed to.
Mm-hmm.
There's billboards that change colors. You drive by, there's your phone in your face all the time. There's ads everywhere hitting you in the face. I joke too, when you do get your credit pulled in a transaction, that data gets sold and you get hit again by a bunch of people, throwing noise at you. And just the race to carve through that is this beautiful combination of a national contemporary brand and a human personal brand coming together to meet a customer where they're at, digitally and locally, to build influence and say, hey, I'm the right choice for you. It's amazing.
It is.
There's Super Bowl commercials. There's so much noise, and trying to cut through that and find, because at the end of the day, the local pros are what's going to close the deal.
That's right.
So cool.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there is a way to probably buy a house. There's no different than you can technically sell a house today. And iBuyer, of course, there's all that growing market. But at the same time, somebody still wants to talk.
Yeah.
And they still need that local presence. So you're absolutely right. And it's about cutting through that to say, if I'm continually there with you along the way, we might be texting, we might be this. You have brands that are popping up on your phone all day long, but I was able to be there for you socially also, right? So you were able to meet me, you were able to talk to me, you were able to have one-off conversations.
Yep.
And then, we do transition to text and stay away and go, right?
So we kind of went over a little bit of the stats for mellohome and kind of the velocity. Where's it going? Where's the velocity going. Obviously, in April 2 years ago, there was one deal sent out.
Well, and if you think of, well, it's going with where your business is going too. As more and more your loan officers are starting to move to serve the digital customers that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
We're there along the way growing. So I think month over month, as you have more and more loan officers that are working on our digital program, that is feeding that initial growth. Now, strategically, we're going to start doing some of the things that I said is how do we form a better partnership? It's not just about referrals. Right?
Good. Yeah, great.
Right.
That's very cool.
So how do we work with you locally? How do we work with you on social media? How do we work with you from education?
Yeah.
And really at the end of the day, it's how does Mellow Home help partner with our internal loan officers to help them build their brand with their real estate partners. And then for the agents that are not currently working with loanDepot, we're a great marketing arm to help open that door for our loan officer to say, you're a top agent in this area, but did you realize that loanDepot is a top lender in your area, and let's work together.
Serious.
Right. So I think we're going to start seeing more and more growth just from that alone. And just getting our brand out there in the market. And when I say brand, I mean loanDepot at the end of the day from that end. Yeah.
Man, it's been a fascinating conversation. So, Randy, I kind of always do this as I close down and just kind of give you a chance to, you've had mortgage background, real estate background. For the modern loan officer out there who's tuning in and trying to learn new things and leaning in, what advice do you have for them to kind of help their mindset get right? Maybe a skill set they should be paying attention to. How would you encourage them in this changing dynamic industry right now?
Well, I think first off, by them joining loanDepot, they need to embrace change, right? loanDepot is trailblazing the change and the shift in consumer behavior.
Sure.
And I think while those days of relying on your agent to give you those referrals, you have to diversify. And we provide that toolkit and the platform
I
here
love
to,
that comment.
to grow it, right? So
yeah, we had a great episode with David King, and one of the things he talked about in marketing was diversifying how you market yourself. So don't just be a one-trick pony.
Right.
Don't just post the same thing over and over again. Diversify your messaging, diversify. And I was actually when I hear diversify, I feel like diversify your business strategies. Mm-hmm. Get the what I call traditional business from your local pros, realtors. Great. Get those referrals, but also don't be afraid to learn into other things like Mellow Home and Mellow Leads and figure out how to manage that customer too, because those are humans that want to be served just a different way.
Right, and that market's growing. So I internally or other businesses that I've run before, it's about being proactive versus reactive. Because if you're sitting back and you're just saying that everybody is going to walk over to me because Mrs. Realtor has always given me that business, well, guess what? She now has a lot more choices because now she's out on social media. She's diversifying. She's being introduced to new lenders every day. So you cannot sit back. You need to be proactive.
You know what? I love that. I love that because the consumer is taking control.
Yeah.
And I'm putting myself in the consumer bucket. Like we always want control.
Right.
That's why Uber is so successful. We want control of when we order it, when we want to see it. We want to see them getting lost. We want to rate them. We want that control. We don't want to have to call a number and then stand outside like an idiot wondering when they're ever going to show up.
Right.
So,
you're researching before that, right? Because you can see their ratings before you go, oh, no, that's not something I want to use.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden now, you look at real estate and the same thing's happening, right? The consumer's taking control and you got to go. I love the comment of diversify. I love the comment of proactive versus reactive. And I think it's right. I think it's the right thing. It's just be ready to embrace change.
Yeah.
That to me is a message all of us should just carve into our skin.
And your loan officers, as we're building your sales force, that's who needs to come here, right? They're realizing that and they're going, where do I want to hang my hat? Well, this is where you hang your hat because you're going to have that ability to trailblaze.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, dude, thank you for coming on. I think we
hit fun.
So much stuff in such a short period of time.
Right.
I'm sure we'll probably have to do it again and get everybody to kind of unpack this more because the change in the consumer behavior, how Mellow Home and loanDepot are responding is really fascinating. And man, what a cool conversation. So thanks for the time today.
I appreciate it.
You're the man. For all you listeners out there, thank you guys for hanging to the end. I appreciate you. Please share, like, subscribe, spread the message. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. We're out.